I actually got into the insulation business back when I was 16 years old. I answered an ad in the paper, and they wanted an insulator and a canvasser. Well, my granddad was a paper hanger, and I knew you had to put up the canvas, you know, before you put the paper up back then, and I could do that. And and then the insulator, I know my dad had been working on the house, building the house, and he had insulated all the pipes, you know, before he put them together and everything. Well, yeah, that wasn't too hard. I could probably do that. So I answered that. And canvasser, for most people don't realize, it's person that goes out and knocks doors and gets leads for other people to follow up and sell the business. This was in the late 50s, about 59, 60. And a lot of houses back then were built without insulation, believe it or not. They didn't even have insulation in the attic. And so it was just a matter of finding those houses that weren't insulated and demonstrating to them what the insulation did. And surprisingly, it was hard to convince a lot of people that insulation would really save money. And but it got us started in the business, and we graduated from insulation. We got into the siding business. Of course, the reason for buying is all the same. It's you know, save maintenance, save on energy costs. And so it's always been that same theme all my business life, is to do something that's going to save people money, and you know that they're paying for it anyway. I first went into business, I was, I think, 20 years old, and I had some ideas. The only reason I went into business for myself is tried to progress in the company that I was in, and it was kind of, you know, I'd pretty much reached I've gone as far as I could go with that particular company. And I had a lot of ideas that I thought would be beneficial to that business that just I couldn't really get done. In the insulation business, you know, all the guys were paid by the hour. They didn't make very much money, and I saw that if they were on piecework rather than being on just a low hourly wage, they would end up doing more work and actually making more money, and our costs would go down. And when I did that, our production went right through the ceiling. I mean, we were insulating. We were doing 2 or 3 times as many houses for every rig. And of course, I'd got the equipment and everything. It was in business for myself. And I noticed that the company I used to work for copied the same system. The thing that really made us known in the roofing business is that we took a product that nobody was familiar with, and it had features that I really liked, you know, from the energy point of view, the beauty, the long life expectancy, and all this kind of thing. But we run into a lot of obstacles because of the way the material, the accessories were designed. And a lot of homeowners really wasn't comfortable with allowing water to get underneath the roof and counting on draining it. So we looked at different ways to install the roof where we wouldn't have that problem. We run into objections about people, really, how can I walk on this? You know, aren't I going to do some damage to it? So that motivated us to come up with a solution to that. We knew we wanted to make a foam backer, something that would support the shingle. And the insulation was just a byproduct. That was good too. You know, what we wanted to do is put something on there that would add strength to the shingle, and just, oh, by the way, it insulates. And we tried different things. So we actually contracted to put the foam underneath the roof before we knew how we were going to do it. The patents that we got, it was, yeah, I heard that a lot. You know, you can't get a patent on somebody else's product, you know. And of course, we were told by our attorneys that we could, you know, if it was worthwhile. And what we did basically is took the gable system that Alcoa had. It was Alcoa back then, and the J-channel valleys and a 2-piece starter strip, and changed them where you're not going to have water get underneath the roof. The original design was where on the gables, water could actually get underneath the trim on the gable, and It was supposed to be channeled where it'd run out, but what would happen is the shingles that go into the trim had a nailing strip that would pick up the water and send it out underneath the roof. So when we first started, you basically had to be sure you got a watertight roof on first, and then you just put the shingles on for aesthetics. We designed what we call a combo trim that was both the gable trim as well as the starter strip. If you turn it one way, it's a gable trim where the shingles come out over the edge, and you turn it down into the receptacle that's designed for it, and that way no water could get underneath the house, get underneath the roof. On the starter strip, you turn it the other direction, and it's one piece. Alcoa had a two-piece starter strip where you could have some wicking, and also if you got water in at the end of it, it was just like a canal, and channeled all up and down the fascia. So with our starter strip, there was no way water could get up beyond our starter strip. And in the valley, of course, we came up with a miter velvet, where you have a base, and then the shingles come over and they're formed to go down in the center of that. So we had everything that they had underneath the roof, but we also finished it off by bending the shingles to fit into the valley base that we designed, and we set that in silicone so it's not going to move, it's not going to go anywhere. There's a real problem with having a hand drive every nail, and you know, come the end of the day, putting that extra nail in there was an effort. You probably know firsthand. But at the same time, all the other roofing companies, when they're putting composition roof on or whatever, they're all using nail guns, you know, and staplers, and it just was made the job a whole lot easier. So I got with Do It Fast and put the question to them: is there any way we can drive an aluminum nail rather than a galvanized nail? Because most of your machines are nail guns, you know, worked off of magnets and what have you, and it wouldn't be true with the aluminum nail. And so we were able to get them to actually develop an aluminum nail that would work in one of their nail guns. And of course our production went way up. And not only, but the real benefit wasn't just the production, it was the fact that, you know, we really got a lot better job done because it was so easy for them to add the extra nails, you know, because it's effortless, you know. And especially come the end of the day, you know, that last nail was hard to put in there. So we actually got a whole lot better job. The crews put a lot more roofing on, and it was a win-win deal, you know. But we ordered the aluminum ring shank nail. We're the only company in the world, as a matter of fact, right now today, that have the 2 1/4 inch aluminum ring shank nail, and to make them special for us.
But you do have to buy 1 million at a time.
We buy 1 million at a time. It's not in my interest to put a roof on that's going to fail later on. Most people just kind of want to go where everybody else goes, you know, and I guess all my life, and especially business life, I've always looked, the way it's always been done is not necessarily the way it should be done. And when we make improvements, it gives us an advantage in the marketplace, but also helps the customer and helps us at the same time, because what we end up with is a much better job and a lot happier customers. And that's the greatest asset we have, is our satisfied customers.